is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
If you're wondering, is it Wednesday? Because Stephen Simcox is here. And you're like, I'm pretty sure yesterday was Wednesday. You would be right. Yesterday was Wednesday.
Sorry to fool you guys.
But Stephen is dealing with what all homeowners deal with is, different little problem, or like one problem that, won't go away.
Yeah.
We had, a couple years ago, we had people in our house from February to August, like just different jobs over and over and over again. And it almost broke us. Like seriously, just emotionally, we were both like, okay, because it's just on and on when you're a homeowner. So yeah. I understand your plight.
And I mean, God bless them. Contractors understand. They got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But it's just like, yeah, we'll be here at this time. And then they're not because something happens.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I kind of rearranged things so this could happen.
Yeah.
But sorry if you're sitting at your computer and you're like, oh no, I have a meeting on Wednesdays. It's not Wednesday. It's Thursday.
It's not.
I can confirm.
Yeah, it is very much Thursday. Did you and your wife have a lovely Valentine's Day?
We did. We didn't do anything special necessarily. Just stayed at home. So, Paul, I don't think I've talked to you post-marriage because you used to be very much against Valentine's Day.
Oh, I was one of the biggest Valentine's Day haters in America.
And kind of just most holidays, honestly.
I mean, half of them. Like 50-50.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I wasn't all in on the ones I liked. I've been told through marriage and therapy and a little bit of anxiety medication that maybe I was a bit over the top on that. So, listen, it takes a big man to admit when he's wrong. But go on with your story.
I just know that your perspective's probably shifted somewhat. Because I was the same way. When I was single, it's like, this is silly. There's no reason to celebrate this. It's just a arbitrary gift card holiday, right? Yeah. Or made by companies to monetize things. Did you guys go out anywhere last night, or did you just stay at the house?
No, we did not. Because again, Waco's very small.
Yeah.
So when you try, there's only a certain amount of restaurants that are really going to score you points on a holiday like Valentine's Day or whatever. So if you don't plan that out a month in advance, you're kind of screwed. And again, not knowing what what my schedule was really going to be or what hers was.
Sure.
I didn't plan anything, which is fine. We cooked last night. We had a great time. That was more fun than anything. I got her flowers. We're going on a trip in about a month, just a little weekend getaway to San Antonio. So all my bases are covered. I feel like I've made the significant effort and, it was appreciated, which is all I want is just to make sure that I'm in the clear, right? That's all, I'm doing right by my wife.
That's kind of the goal. I luck out because our anniversary is in the end of January.
Yeah.
So if I do that well, I know that I don't really have to go all out for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Now, Kristen tells me she doesn't want anything, and I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid.
Yeah.
So I still get flowers or something, but I'm not,
Yeah, and you guys have a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
So it's probably harder on a Wednesday.
It's hard to get out of the house.
Yeah, especially on a Wednesday. Yes. If you were hey, we need to get a babysitter who's alone,
right?
Also not celebrating this holiday.
Crystal's got a real tough math test this week, so
on a Wednesday,
wasn't a good time.
Yeah. So then you're kind of
you're kind of stuck.
You're really hoping for that day when the oldest gets to enough to be all right, we're leaving. You're in charge.
Yes,
that's a great day. I think
we were talking about this recently. Do you remember when your parents left you at home
12.
by yourself?
12. Okay. Yeah, maybe when I was 10 or 11, if my sister wasn't there, they would leave me at home alone for a little bit.
Right.
Hey, we're going to run up here. You're clearly not ready to go to the grocery store. I'm not going to I'll be back before you, I was a kid be are you going to be sitting here doing the same thing? Yes, I'll be here playing with He-Man toys. No problem.
I got it covered.
I have it listen, we're not even in the first act of what I've got going on here. There's some story I've got to work out. So look, I'm in the first draft, so I'm good.
You got 2 hours.
You got 2 hours. You got 2 hours before I even think about anything. And then if I get hungry, I'm just going to eat peanut butter out of the jar. So I'm good. I can do that. That was okay, we'll put your sister in the car and go. But
right.
So it was like 12 where, they'd let me like babysit Laura, where I would, be in charge. I hated that, but at least,
Yeah.
So
were cell phones a thing then?
Kinda. My dad had a phone in his car.
Right.
But
yeah, I was like 10, but it was usually my mom would go on a walk or something, but she had her phone with her. So
I mean, like you could get a bag phone, in 1992. They were, I think in 1994 or 5, we got my mom like a big cellular one, flip phone kind of a thing. So yeah.
Right.
So I would say 12 years old was about the time where it was like, it's fine. Most of the time they took my sister with them where they were going. But if I was like, again, I was a pretty boring kid. Like, oh, he's reading a book. We got 2 hours. We're good.
You weren't getting into a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's like, he's not going to stop until he gets to at least chapter 20. What chapter are you on? 6. Good deal.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was probably about that same age. But I very much long for the day that, I can be like, hey, Bradley, make sure the others stay alive while we go do something.
Yeah.
We're still a few years off.
Well, I mean, and the thing about it, though, when you're like that age and like you're in charge, like those words, like,
oh, it's huge,
resonate through you
yes.
in a way that's like, that's right. I'm in charge. Things are going to change around here.
We're whipping this thing into shape. I got a lot of ideas.
Listen, those 2 clowns are gone for the next 3 hours. All right? Here's what's going to get done. First of all, one of you get me a Hot Pocket. The other one, I know that there's Dr. Pepper in the fridge. I'm not supposed to have it after 8 o'clock. Guess what? Don't care.
Rules are getting broken today. Yeah.
You guys have to follow them, but not me, because I'm in charge. I've been named the CEO of the house now. So, yeah.
No, it's a big deal when you give people responsibility. So
yeah.
That's big. Paul, we got huge news today. I mean, kind of.
We did.
It's not officially rolled out, but we know that college football 2025 is going to come out.
Yes, it is.
At some point this summer.
Yeah. There are people in the chat room now who are older and like they never got to experience the phase like we did in every single year of it where, and it is kind of a fascinating thing where you have a video game that does not change all that much year to year. Like, really from like massive changes to like year 1 to year 5. And then like year 5 to year 10, they add like different features. But I'm going to spend $50 to $70 a year to throw this old stupid one out and start playing this other one. And because, now I can recruit? You serious? Awesome.
Yeah.
All those things. So I cannot wait to see what they've done. I hope they've made some improvements. I hope they didn't completely use the Madden engine because I've heard that's not that great. Of course, I've been out of the video game circle for a little while, due in large part to the fact that this went away.
Well, see, that's the other interesting thing is I've been texting with friends today, and many of them have said, I guess I have to break down and get like a PS5 now or the new Xbox because there's been no reason to have one for the past decade or so if this was your go-to. And it's funny you talk about the improvements because you're right. I mean, the game doesn't change much except for the rosters.
Yeah.
And honestly, a lot of the like new modes that they put in through the years weren't popular. It was just like, no, just give me dynasty mode.
Yeah.
And let me build, build what I want.
Yeah.
I know they had like Heisman where you could be like an individual player, but nothing really topped that. But yeah, I'm stoked, man. I mean, I'm gonna have to buy it because at least the first one I'll have to see what it is. But if it's anywhere close to what we had in 2014, it's gonna be amazing.
One of the things that Tim Brando always says when we have him on, and is college football let the NFL like completely take over their territory. Like there used to be this like handshake agreement of you guys are this day and we are this day. And we'll also have like kind of a random one here and there, but Thursdays and Saturdays, those are your days. We'll get a Thursday on Thanksgiving. We'll have Mondays. When you guys have a big game on a Monday, we're not going to do Monday Night Football because, we'll be done. Like we've got all worked out. And then college football was like, well, they're to be trusted. They're not run by 30 billionaires. Let's just, roll through and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you know what? If you guys aren't going to play any Saturday in December, at all. We're going to start playing on Saturdays too. And then when they were like, hey, we'd like to play on some Saturdays, they're like, yeah, but we're not moving. Yeah, I mean, you've got plenty of channels you can be on, just not the ones that you want to be because now we're on them. Mm-hmm. Or you guys can play at 11 a.m. and we'll play at 3. But we're probably not going to do that because we're going to take 11 a.m. too. So, sorry. So they kind of took away the territory. One of the things, because college football was so stupid about the O'Bannon lawsuit, and what it meant was they also gave up some of their marketing power. Now, look, the game is as popular as it's ever been now, which is the best time to bring this back. But it's one of those other examples of what could have happened had they not just been so pig-headed. Like, where could you be right now, and how could this thing be running for everybody, not just the Big Ten and the SEC, but for everyone had you just let this thing go?
Well, I saw your friend Chris, is it Vanini at The Athletic? I saw him talking about this today. I think it was actually kind of recycling a conversation he had when it was announced the game was coming back. But he did mention like how much this has changed college football in popular culture. Because, like kids, so when I was growing up, I remember I was a weird kid because a lot of boys like sports. There were girls that like sports, but they like playing sports, right? Like it was weird in elementary school to watch sports or follow it, like watch NFL games. Yeah. So I was kind of unique in that way. And then I think kind of going into middle school when Madden became more popular and NCAA football became more popular, that was like a really good gateway for a lot of people to get into the sports itself. It's like, oh, I'm playing this game. I know who these people are now. Now I can watch a game on TV on Saturday or Sunday, and I'm not completely lost. And so you did lose some of that. And then also, if they would have gone through the process of paying players for, being in that game, coinciding with the fact that everybody wanted to be part of that game because it was one of the most popular video games in the world at the time, maybe we're not having all this talk about NIL like we are now, Paul, where it's just a complete madhouse and nobody knows what the rules are and nobody knows how to move forward. Because, I think at least for a while you could have just sold those guys on, hey, you're getting a kickback for being in this, like, you're getting some payment for it. It's also just cool to be a part of it.
Everybody gets $1,000.
Yes.
Because again, in 2002, if you had told, the players are like, hey, if you're in this video game, you're gonna get $1,000. They've been like, sweet, that's $1,000.
Right.
And if you told them also like, hey, we're gonna give you a stipend of $3,000 a month, they'd been like, what? Amazing. Awesome. Good deal. Oh, and like if somebody comes to you and wants you to like promote their business, we're going to let you do that. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to be induced or anything like that. But like if you're already here, if you're within the rules, if you're a signed scholarship athlete and, Big Joe's Ford wants you to say like, hey, I'm the Michigan Wolverines, Drew Henson. And this is and this is the truck I love to drive for Big Joe's Wolverine Ford. We're going to let you do that. And nobody would be talking about unionizing. Nobody would be like, there would be rules in place. And nobody would be like, my rights are being infringed. They'd have been like, because then like by now, like the stipend's probably going to be $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month. Then like they might start saying like, hey, we probably need to get into revenue sharing because like we've got to, these TV contracts are getting bigger. All right, we'll talk about that. Like, we'll kick back and make it, we'll give you this percentage or whatever. Okay, great. Good deal. Mm-hmm. There would be some push and pull, but it would not be like, the NCAA goes to court and we're like, this is atrocious. We can't have this. And then the court's like, yeah, that's illegal, right? It's unenforceable by the Constitution of the United States, not even by the recent laws of the United States, like by the 1770 like the Declaration of Independence. You guys are just running through that. You guys just every day. Like
pretty important to the fabric of the country.
Yeah, you guys spit in Thomas Jefferson's face every day. Every day. So all that would have been so different. And again, the video game was the crux of all this tumbling down. And the reason they picked this hill to die on, because what if they just said, oh man, we do owe Charles O'Bannon and some of those guys some money. Yeah, we did use his picture to sell this thing. Or Ed O'Bannon, I'm sorry.
Ed O'Bannon,
yeah. His Chuck O'Bannon.
Chuck O'Bannon's playing at TCU now.
Yeah, but man, we should have just, let's get that guy some money. Yeah. It was him on the cover.
Let's pay him.
Let's pay the guy. And look, to say also that the video game is a huge part of the fabric of today's sports enjoyment. Like, John Madden is in the Hall of Fame for 3 reasons. And they're all equal because he was a Super Bowl winning coach, he was the best broadcaster, and Madden football took the NFL to popularity heights and built fans from a young age more than anything else they could have ever done. Like, anything else you could have ever done. Built knowledge about football. Like, people have a real kind of, like, even a basic knowledge of how football works now, not necessarily because their coaches told them, because Madden football told them how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, because Madden football told you what a counterplay was or what this was, and it had the little thing on the screen so that when you're 12 years old watching it and Greg Olson, like, circles something and does that, you're like, oh, that's my favorite play on Madden. Like, you have that because of that. So for college football to, for now a decade, have just, or more, like, RG3 was on the last one, right?
Yes, that was, I think Denard Robinson.
Denard Robinson was on the last one. So, like,
a decade plus. I mean, we're talking about 11 years.
11 years. Nothing, right? Nothing. And then and that was also during the O'Bannon lawsuit. So what they did with RG3 was they waited for guys like RG3 and Denard Robinson to leave school. And they'd be like, you're on the cover in your college uniform. Here's money. Thanks. You know, so then, like, it was like, well, we're paying the guy now. So we're fine. Like, and Ed O'Bannon's like, still didn't pay me. Still no dollars.
I didn't get a check. That's what I'm kind of worried
I've got
about.
people walking up to me asking me to autograph this thing. I have no idea why I'm on it. Nobody ever asked me. Nobody called me. Nobody said, hey, you're a good-looking tall dude who, who's won one of the best college that UCLA team he was on in '95 was unbelievable with Tyus Edney and Toby Bailey and his brother. Like, they were really good. Like, you were the face of one of the better college basketball teams of all time, like, especially in the modern parlance at UCLA, which is, one of the big boys.
Let's do some business together.
Let's do some business together, as opposed to, like, oh, we got this stock photo of Ed O'Bannon. Bam! That's the best stock photo we've got. Here we go.
Pulled it from dial-up internet. It took us 45 minutes, but we got it.
Yeah. So those are the things. So, yeah, it's a huge, huge deal. Mm-hmm. And it's huge for college football in that we finally have, like, we knew it was kind of coming out in the summer. We know that we're going to get the preview in May, which means that if we get the preview in May, it means it probably drops sometime in July, you would think. So
get your PTO ready, folks.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's huge. I think it's great for college football. I think it's great for college football athletes. I hope it's great for whatever remains of the NCAA when they have the new thing and can make it even better because you move forward. Like, the only way that college football makes it if you move forward cooperatively. Otherwise, you're just going to be, striking like coal miners all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just how it's going to be. But yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. So I'm a little bummed I won't get to play with Jordan Travis.
I know. Yeah, there's so many great players.
Who's like a son to me. He doesn't know that he is. If we ever meet, I'm sure he'll feel that.
Yeah.
Kind of like, fatherly energy.
Yeah, if he needs another father figure in
his
life.
It seems like he's got a great family, but, like, it takes a village. So,
Garrett, if you get this game, what's your move going to be? Are you going to take LSU and run the thing, or are you going to go get, like, Kent State and turn them into a dynasty?
Man, I would... Honestly, like, instead of doing the dynasty, I'm more of a create a player that go through the thing. That's where I'm at more so than dynasty. But I would probably ride with LSU and just win off like 12 natties in a row.
All right. I'll tell you right now what I'm going to do. First, I've got to ask my wife for permission to get it. Then.
But if she says yes.
Then, if she begrudgingly says yes. And then I have to sign up for video game time like a 12-year-old.
What's your schedule look like in July?
So if I can make that happen, then what I will do is I like to do it in 3 tiers. So I will have 3 separate dynasties running depending on what kind of mood that I'm in that will run for a long time. I'll do one with FSU. To build the greatest superpower in the history of the world.
Gotcha.
Whose college football strength would rival only that of, like, Kim Jong-un. Like, that's where, like, I want a little bit of competition, and I'll put it on the tough mode, but, like, by the time I get them to where I want them, like, even Alabama, like...
You're just road grading people.
I'm just...
National title games, like 95-6.
Yeah, because I need that feeling in my fantasy life.
Right.
Then I'll pick a team from, like, the Sun Belt. Random team from the Sun Belt. Maybe it's a guy, like a coach I like. You know, I'll pick that one. And then I'll do that one as well. And then I will pick the worst, like whoever the worst team is, that like when the game comes out.
UL Monroe this year.
Well, that would be the team from the Sun Belt. But like I'm talking
Go
about
Warhawks.
like yeah, like a low. Like,
No, but remember the SP ratings.
oh yeah,
They were
SP
dead
ratings.
last.
Yeah. So like, but then I'll take whatever the worst team is. Like the Sun Belt team I pick would be a team that's, you know, like App State that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That's consistently good, that upsets, you know, P5 teams,
Yeah.
you know. But then I would go with the like just bottom of the barrel worst team, Kennesaw State, who's like, or a team like James Madison just in, you know.
Just build it.
Yeah. Sam Houston and just build it from nothing. And I love their coach too, Sam Houston. I love him.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I like, that's what I would do, you know, to challenge yourself in other different ways. Also, I think this. So, Matt Brown of Extra Points, friend of the show, great guy, has the athletic director, I think it's 4,000 now. It was 3,000.
Yeah.
He's upgraded it. I think he needs to sell that to EA, and that needs to be a part of it too. Because I'm intrigued by that, because you have all these athletic director scenarios and all that.
Right.
He needs to sell that to them.
Well, that'd be great. I want bagman mode. I mean, like, let me be a booster and just let me throw some money out there. And I, you know, you can let them play the games too, but I want to give a bag of cash to a 5-star defensive end in Dallas. I think that sounds like a good time.
What would you name your how would you present yourself?
Oh, that's a good question.
You have to find an NIL that has like it's something about like it's like a line from the fight song, like the middle of the fight song, not necessarily like, you know, like the A&M thing isn't the Hullabaloo Club.
Yeah.
But like it's the like somewhere in the middle. You pick. I mean, I have the 12th Man Foundation, which has essentially been an NIL arm its whole existence. But
yeah, they're just a little more above board now.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I have the theory that like everybody like in the Southwest Conference, like SMU and A&M, like anybody who got in trouble for doing this at all in the past is like as soon as it was made legal, they're like, call Jenkins, tell him the 1985 project is on. And he just pulls out an old like binder and like blows the dust off it and like, here we go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, Garrett, I'd have like a window washing business or something silly.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd have like, it'd be like giving, who was it? Was it A&M that gave Eric Dickerson a
Trans Am.
Trans Am?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why are all these kids?
But I would
involved?
love that feed the Eric Dickerson feature to also be on it.
Yes.
Where like you could bribe a kid and then he'd be like, sorry. What are you going to do?
It's like Grand Theft Auto college football edition.
Now,
I love it.
Now here's the difference is like now if I'm an NIL and I'm above board and I make a contractual agreement that's legal with somebody and they just go off to another school, I can now go after them in court. You know, the people who gave, and I know this because I've talked to them specifically, directly, the people who gave Eric Dickerson his Trans Am, whose names I'm sworn to secrecy on, but the people who gave Eric Dickerson his Trans Am, their first thing was like, well, we got to report him. And like the other guy was like, no.
We'd be reporting ourselves there, brother.
I mean, like, you don't go into the police and be like, hey, listen, Steven killed Garrett. How do you know? Because I killed the guy standing next to Garrett, and I was supposed to.
But I'm willing to play ball.
Listen, I want Steven to go down. And they will tell me about this guy. No, whoa. That's Steven killing Garrett. That wasn't right. We'd agreed that I would kill Garrett, and he would kill the other guy, and then I had to kill the other guy, and he killed Garrett, and this is bogus, man. Where's the ethics?
I saw somebody say the first time somebody hits the transfer portal on them, they're going to start talking like Dabo Sweeney. Like 3 a.m, they're going to be tweeting like, "There's no loyalty anymore. These kids."
Oh, doing a call-in show? Oh, like in the dynasty mode, you've got a call-in show. And like, depending on how you're doing, you can respond angrily.
Yeah, like in 2K where you can go to like arrogant mode and stuff like that. It'd be great. I love that.
Exactly. Just throw it out there. EA needs to get like EA Sports, who I'm sure the regime has changed. Mm-hmm. The first story that I ever broke on my own, the first one, was RG3 being on the cover of NCAA football.
Nice.
13. I broke that story nationally.
Was it RG3 and Barry Sanders
Yes, it was like a
together? Okay.
Yeah. So, but I knew it because I had a source that was one of the designers or testers, like he worked there. Mm-hmm. We went to college together, and he sent me a text and said, "Hey, RG3 was here today." And I went, "Oh, cool. He's a great guy." And he was like, "Yeah, but he was here in Orlando at EA Sports." And I went, "Oh, great. Tell him I said hello. He knows me." And then he's like, "I will when I walk into the photo shoot."
Paul.
I gotcha. I was like, "Oh, does that mean?" He's like, "I can't say what it means, but it probably means exactly what you finally think it means." Yeah, great guy. Tell him hello. Or his parents there, they're sweet people.
Okay. I'm going to go cover him with a tarp, Paul. You understand now, bud?
Yeah. So I broke that story. I told someone again, like, "Hey, RG3 is going to be on the cover of this game." And he's like, "Do you know?" I'm like,
Smokey said, "What's a video game?"
I said, "Yeah, look, here we go." And so
Smokey said, "He's going to be on the cover of Pong?" That's great.
So he calls Robert, and he's like, "Hey, are you in Orlando right now?" And he goes, "Yep." And he's like, "Can you tell me why?" He goes, "Nope." And he goes, "Would I know if I asked you?" And he goes, "Yep." And so I was like, "All right, confirmed, 2 sources. All right, let's go with it." So I roll out like Robert Griffin III will be on the cover of NCAA Football 13. You know, this is how I learned how the Twitter algorithm worked, because at that time I still only have like 5,000 followers, maybe not even. You know, I'm not a big social media titan.
It's not Woj.
Yeah, not Woj. But the video game Twitter is just all looking for things. So
they go crazy.
They find it and they put it out there. And I was like, hashtag confirmed. Like, it's confirmed. Well, EA Sports was coming to town that week for a photo shoot on campus for that. And so the other thing that happened was they sent out to Baylor like this press release, and the press release did not say the word embargoed information. It was just, the press release said, "We can't tell you why," but that. If it had said embargoed, I wouldn't have said anything. I had no idea it was embargoed, no idea. They're supposed to roll it out on Dan Patrick. And so I've broken the story 2 full days before that happens. And so EA Sports is absolutely livid with me. I mean, this lady could not be angrier. So we wound up going all back and forth. And
did she call you, or did she email?
She called me.
Okay.
She emailed me, and then I said, "Please call me. This is kind of a lot to pour out into an email." And then she starts dressing me down, to which at this point, Smokey hears this discourse because she's really dressing me down. I'm like, "Look, I had no idea. Like, nobody told me not to say anything,
Right, yeah.
And she's like, "Well, who's your source?" I'm like, "Well, that's not how this works, baby." I mean, like, that's not how we're doing this. Like, "Oh, I'll tell you who he is so you can fire him." No, no, not doing that. Like, if you maybe want to do research into all the people who went to FSU who work for you and find out which ones lived at the same dorm as me, good luck, and we'll see you in 3 months.
Get the FBI involved.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I even say that. I was like, "No, I'm not saying anything." So Smokey gets on the phone with her, and like this goes on all day, like back and forth on the phone. We're at a Baylor basketball game that night. He finally gets her on the phone again, and he says, "Listen, we've gotten off the wrong foot here. This was like we're admitting our fault in this by maybe like not asking you guys if it was okay to say it and working it out. And so then they like work out in the powwow. We're about to go the next week to the NFL draft. The first one we're going to, Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And here's where the story still chaps my ass. She offers to bring us to this party that EA Sports is having with all these people we can do interviews with. And I don't blame Smokey for this because one of us had to take him up on it. We had a remote at a car dealership the day before we were supposed to leave, so we even had to leave a day early. Because the salesperson would not reschedule it, even though if I had called the car dealership, they'd be like, yes, go to New York, we'll see you next week. Doesn't matter, would not reschedule it. I had to stay and do that remote at the car dealership while Smokey's in New York City, like rubbing elbows with all these people. And I'm like, come out, I got great deals on a Hyundai. And Smokey's like, he calls into his hit. It's like, hey, later on in the show, I'm going to have an interview with Barry Sanders and Dan Patrick and Aaron Andrews. And I'm like, but that's not as great as the great savings you'll get on this 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Great deals on pre-owned too. So yeah, but that's my, like, so maybe now after a decade and probably staff's changing, EA Sports can be cool and we can do some stuff with them. So
man, you'd probably be on Fallon right now if you'd gone up there. I bet you'd run into somebody. You'd be doing, your life would have changed, Paul.
It could, I mean, like, here's the thing, like the butterfly flaps its wings.
That's right.
Yeah, and one jack-off salesman, like just, no, not cancel, like, well, I mean, just call them. They love us. They'll be fine with it. Like, no, just call them. No. We promised them we're going to be there on Tuesday. I'm like, did we?
How much are they paying? Can I just pay them back personally?
This is a great opportunity for me. I don't care. I'd like to advance my career someday. Like, nah, who cares? So, all right, let's talk a little Big 12 basketball in the next segment.
Let's do it.
Is there a team, and I know we were going to talk about like how the big boys do it, and then the story broke, but that was a much better first segment. Is there a team, how many, and not is there a team, because I think there's 1 to 3, depending on how the back half of the season goes, that can win the national title, like win the whole thing in coming out of the Big 12, or have most of them beaten each other up too much? That's a question. We kind of have this every year, but let's go into it for this particular season. This is the triple option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
By the way, Stephen, retired stockbroker, who's a Houston fan, he on the chat room says, Temple's Kenneth Davis played for the Bills and TCU, got a Z28 while he was at TCU.
Yeah, you know, TCU, they like most in the Southwest Conference, had a time where they were just kind of dishing out cash. Didn't really translate to a lot of wins necessarily, but they were using the payroll. They were doing it.
I think everybody in the Southwest Conference was, to some degree, and I would say the team with the least doing it would have been Baylor because of Coach Taft was not ever going to play that game to the level that would have needed to be played to. Mm-hmm. Now, but I do believe that there was stuff, and I'm not naive enough to think that he wouldn't know at least a little about it, but I don't think that, like, the people who would do that stuff to get somebody there we're going to go tell Coach Taft, like, hey, we gave this kid this because Coach Taft would just not
shut it down. Yeah.
Yeah. He would have shut like, no, we don't need him that bad. And like, oh, but no, I don't think Baylor really will. Like to the extent that like where, Jackie Sherrill is having meetings with people and like, well, I mean, did you give him his Trans Am? And what happened? He left? What do you mean he left? Why is he in Dallas? We gave him the car to get there. I don't know. It's where he wanted to go. Well, why do we don't like, so what do we do? Huh? Move on to the next one. Won't do it again. So yeah, I think everybody was. And the only school, Baylor didn't get in trouble, but the only school who didn't get in trouble at least a little bit that was probably also doing stuff, which is the school that never gets in trouble, was Texas. Because Texas was Whitey Bulger. They were the FBI informant. Like they were just ratting
giving everybody's business out there. Yeah,
just ratting everybody else out while they were like, hey, you can't touch me, Like, hey, did you pay this kid $25,000? Yeah, but did you hear what SMU did to get Craig James there? Way worse. Way worse. See, I'm small potatoes. You don't want me. Meanwhile, they're just like, whoa! So, yeah.
Yeah, go back to Coach Taft. I had to call him. We had him on your show. I mean, y'all had him on the show multiple times.
Yeah.
But one time we were going to have him on the show.
An angel of a human being.
Yes, he's the best. And so Smokey was like, hey, give him a call. Like actually call him on his phone like 30 minutes before and just be like, hey, we're still good. We're going to call you from this number all day.
Just be sitting in your chair comfortable when you're ready. Yeah.
Just touch base. So I did that, and I called him on my cell phone, and I guess he just had, it was on a Friday, I think. I guess he just had my number up in his recent calls. And so the next day he called me. He just dialed the wrong number, but I answered it, and he was like, oh, hey, Stephen. Then he just started asking me about like my life, and we talked for like 10 minutes. He's a very pleasant man.
Yeah, no, he's wonderful. I would run into a burning building for him, even if he wasn't in there. If he's just like, you got to go in there, I'd be like, yes, sir,
right, okay,
absolutely.
That's what I'm doing now.
Never played for him or anything like that. He's just a wonderful, wonderful guy. So. No, yeah, Rice. Kyle Visser said Rice probably wasn't either because again, like you can only cheat so much, and like you get somebody to Rice and like, all right, this is our new fullback, and he's like, all right, what class are you taking? Believe me, it'll stick out like a sore thumb.
You guys got topics in mathematics? Is that a thing here?
He like goes into a thing like, this is the hypotenuse. He'd be like, I am supposed to be in a math class, not zoology. Is this math or is this about animals? Because I saw a hypotenuse at the zoo the other day. So, like that you couldn't have done that because Rice is too smart of a school. Yeah, thank you, Kyle. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they probably weren't dipping in those waters for sure.
Yeah, but everybody else was, doing something because that was the game between like the big power money people, the oil people.
Yeah, it was like their own competition.
It was their own competition. Like it wasn't even it just got to be about between them. Like the aftermath of what was going to happen when they got caught breaking the rules didn't matter because it was, it's like a bunch of rich people in a room like betting on which human could get hunted the fastest. like that's how it was. And then at the end of it, they're like, oh, sorry for those schools. I'm fine though.
I'm moving on to the next thing.
If you guys need me, I'll be on my third yacht. The small one. I don't want to be indulgent. No, Steven, okay, Big 12 basketball, there's one super elite team, and that's Houston. But look, I just went and watched them get absolutely punished by Kansas on the road. So they're vulnerable as well. And they didn't even play bad. Kansas just played
lights out. Yeah.
Just lights out, didn't miss shots. So Houston is easily right now, and like if I had to pick a team that I thought was going to win the championship, I would say Houston because they will have played the toughest schedule of probably anybody that could wind up in the Final Four. They don't take things on the chin very hard. Like it's just when they get knocked down, they just they're back up for the next punch. They're just there. So I would say they are. I think personally, Baylor and Kansas, if they fix the major issues that are plaguing them and get the right kind of seeding, can make deep runs. Mm-hmm. But that's a big if. And then after that, I just don't know. Like Iowa State's a pretty darn good team. But after that, I just really don't know.
I think that's a good list. So I'm definitely in with you on Houston. I think I'm a little wary of Kansas right now because they've just been such a different team away from Allen Fieldhouse.
Because they have no bench.
They have no bench. Yeah. But, I mean, Bill Self is going to have that group ready to go. I really like Iowa State. And I think they have this is a typical Iowa State team in that it's predicated on defense first. They're long, they're athletic, they can be versatile, they switch really well. They force a lot of turnovers. And I feel like they have more scores than they usually do, but I still don't know if they have enough individual playmakers to make this work. Honestly, aside from Houston, the team that I'm probably highest on right now is Baylor, simply because it feels like this is a Scott Drew team that is young, that's getting better as the year goes on. They got a lot of different guards that can make things work. Misi in the middle is a difference maker. He's a matchup problem. He's a good rim protector. So it feels like they check all the boxes for a team that can make a deep run in March. And then one more team. I don't think this team can win it all. I really think Kansas, Baylor, Houston are the only three that I feel like could win it all. But team that could get hot and make a run, Texas is playing a lot better. Yeah. And that's a talented group.
Well, they have not made sense all season.
No, they haven't. But, I mean, now West Virginia's not good. They blitzed West Virginia. They had a nice win on the road against TCU. It feels like they're hitting their stride. But I don't know, Paul. This feels like a different year. And maybe Houston ends up falling in this category, and the league is just so good that it looks different. But the teams that won national titles out of the Big 12 in Kansas and Baylor, even though the league was great, they looked pretty dominant at times. And this Houston team has kind of had some hills and valleys. So it doesn't feel like there's one team that's just head and shoulders better than anybody else. But at the same time, I mean, aside from UConn, there's really nobody in the country who fits that bill either.
No, it's changed. Everything has really changed since the COVID year. Really, Baylor won with a veteran team. Kansas won with a veteran team. UConn won with a veteran team. Guys who've been around a while. And look, UConn. Here's the other reason I think that especially Kansas and Baylor could turn things around. UConn was a 3 or 4 seed last year because they had a terrible January. January in their minds at this point, they had to pretend like it didn't exist. But they had that terrible January because they were just trading off 2 injuries at once. It was these 2 guys are out for these 4 games. Okay, we got them back. Oh, 2 new guys are out and taking their place, and that they just didn't have the depth. And then once they hit February and March, everybody's healthy and playing their absolute best on both sides of the court. And so they got hot and they won the title last year because they were a 1 seed in 4 seeds clothing, right? All of this had happened. We can't make you a 1 seed, although you're playing great right now. You're playing like a 1 seed, but your record says you're a 4 seed. So we're going to make you a 4 seed and see what happens. And then that was how everybody, there was no elite team in the Final Four last year, at least as far as seeding goes, because you had veteran teams, you had all these things happening. And so the new world of college basketball has shifted. And that's why I think Baylor and Kansas, again, if Kansas can get healthy and Nick Timberlake can start playing well and legitimately scoring off the bench, and Elmarco Jackson can, not be a true freshman, those things can help them. If Baylor can play 3 games in a row that all look the same in wins, not 3 games in a row like they did where, all their conference losses, save for one, have come
in that bad stretch, yeah.
But at the buzzer or late or whatever, they lost to Kansas at the end, they lost to TCU at the end, they lost to Kansas State at the end,
right.
That everybody at the lost to Texas at the end. That's how they've lost. If they have games where Oklahoma, where they get a lead and put a team away, if they can do that 2, 3, 4 games in a row, then I'll think, okay, this team has matured and has figured out how it works. I do think that their strength is also their weakness in that they have so many guards, but they also have so many guards.
Right.
So those 3 haven't figured out the best way to run a game, which is why the 2021 team works so well, is that, everybody knew what was expected of them each and every night, and as opposed to now it's it changes based on, who's doing well,
Well, and it also feels when you have a team that kind of has to shift responsibility like that, the guys that are not super involved on offense sort of lose their effort defensively, and then so you have lapses there too. the thing that made that 2021 team special was you had multiple guys who could take over a game, but then they also just collectively played really good defense every night. So if Baylor can clean that up, that'll go a long way. But, I mean, they've been super impressive. Tech was really good and really hot coming into that BU game at Foster, and they won that convincingly. They look like they've kind of figured this thing out. And Kansas, I mean, you're right. They have the questions on the bench depth, the guard play. And then, can you really run your offense through Dickinson on a consistent basis in the tournament? You're going to have guys score outside of him. But honestly, Houston, aside from that tough stretch that they kind of had at the beginning of Big 12 play and then Kansas shooting literally like 70% against them on the road, I mean, they've been as consistent as anybody in the country.
Yeah, no, they're very good. They have not lost a step. What's weird is that, save for the Kansas game, LJ Cryer hasn't really made that much of a difference with them. Like he's more of a bit of an X factor player, and that look, if LJ's going, then you're gonna have a really good night. But he's just kind of what he was with Baylor. Like, you're gonna have good LJ nights and bad LJ nights, and some nights he's really gonna help you, and some nights he's just not gonna be there because that's the kind of player he is. But they've got him playing better defense. Kind of, but that was his issue. Isn't he's not willing to play defense? He's just got matchup issues when a bigger guard is the guy he has to defend. I mean, he's just not going to be able to get in his way as much. So, I think that I think they can, and they've just been good consistently for so long.
Yes,
Elite Eight and Final Four and they've been there. They've just been in the last weekend so much. So ridiculously much or the last 2 weekends that, he's built a program to a point where this is kind of their default mode is Sweet 16. Like, they're getting to the Sweet 16, they're probably getting to the Elite Eight, and
that's just their identity now.
Yeah, and they can score a lot better than they could. Like, part of their problem the last few years is they weren't really a scoring team. Like, they have guys that were streaky, but they had to get it from two guys. Now they can get it from several different players, at different times. Where last year that was kind of their undoing was, well, if you can get them cold shooting, you can keep this team to where, you can beat them 60-58. And they're going to be like, well, if, 2 more shots go in, we do it, but they're just laying up bricks. That doesn't really happen with them right now.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, the defense is still really intense and really good, but they do have more individual playmakers. And if it's a physical game down the last, 10 minutes, that's what they're made for. They're made for grinding it out, making free throws, getting good possessions, and then just, choking down that airspace on defense. So, it's been somewhat of an adjustment. Obviously, it's not the same as the American, but I think it's been a little overplayed, how much of a step up that was going to be for them, because they played at the highest level for a long time.
The only difference between last year and this year is they're going to have a few more losses because they're not going to have those games where you can, play just 38 bad minutes against Temple in the last 2. You just erupt and get out with your life. You can't play 38 bad minutes against Texas Tech and expect to have a good last 2 minutes. If you have 38 bad minutes against Tech, then you've lost.
You've lost.
The last 2 minutes is Kelvin Sampson pacing on the sidelines, ready to just tear into you after the game's over. You're just watching the executioner by the guillotine. Here we go. That's all it is. But yeah, they're really good. All right, when we come back, we're going to start doing this every day. I did it with Garrett yesterday. We're going to do it with Steven today. NFL Draft rapid fire questions.
All right.
I'm going to ask you questions about what would you do. Some of the questions will be the same because I want to get a consensus on them. Some of them will just kind of come out of nowhere.
Okay.
All right. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
All right, rapid fire NFL draft questions.
Love it.
So I should have done this with Royden the other day. He would have been really good at this.
Yeah, he would like that.
I wish I had a thought of it on Tuesday or on Monday. Well, Monday I've had Garrett twice this week, so it's not.
You just had a tough week.
Oh no, it's been good. Look, Monday we had to recap Vegas, so
Yeah,
that was
fun.
that was necessary.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was.
I'm glad you guys made it back,
Thank you.
especially you, Paul.
Oh, it was. Look, here's the thing: you had Emery, who's 22,
Yeah.
Garrett, who's 36, 39. You're 39.
I turned 39 Saturday when we got back.
Oh yeah, 39.
Happy late birthday.
Yeah,
Garrett.
39, and I'm 43, almost 44. You could tell the stages of.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you, on Wednesday night, Emery's half my age, and I defeated him.
You did. You
I
crossed Emery.
I outlasted the 22-year-old. I outlasted the 22-year-old, which I don't know if that's something to be proud or ashamed of or live in some kind of nebulous zone in the middle.
Yeah, maybe a little bit both.
Yeah. I can still listen. I've still got one in me.
You can still hang.
Yeah, I still got one in me. Like when I was his age, I'd have, it'd be like 10 days of that, and I'd be like, you know what, guys, we should take Sunday off. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. All right. No problem.
You can still do it if called upon.
Look, here's the thing. It's like I still got a little Tallahassee in me. It's still a little bit there.
That Florida man comes out every once in a while.
Yeah, let's go wrestle a flamingo. I'm taking him down. Just standing on one leg, all cocky.
I'm gonna get him.
With his big pink feathers, all smug, not contributing to society, just standing there. So, all right. First NFL draft rapid fire question.
Okay.
If you're the Bears, do you keep Justin Fields and trade the first pick for a bounty, or realizing you could have a quarterback on a rookie contract who is probably better than Justin Fields, even though Justin Fields is improving, and probably a very viable NFL quarterback. But you could have a generational talent in Caleb Williams, possibly. Do you draft Caleb, or do you trade the pick for a bounty?
I'm taking Caleb Williams. I'm going to see what I can get for Justin Fields, knowing I'm probably not going to get exactly what I want because people know that he needs to be dealt.
Yeah.
But maybe I can get, another good wide receiver to go with. DJ Moore, get a little bit better at that position, improve that offensive line. I like Justin Fields. I feel like the issues in Chicago were not all on him, but it also feels like there's a pretty definitive ceiling with him at quarterback. And I think Caleb Williams is a great prospect, and so I'm rolling the dice with him.
Yeah. I think that's what kind of we came to. Like, if I was the GM, I don't know if I would have the stones to trade Justin Fields, going that I know that, like, I think it's trending upward with him, but also I could convince myself, like, look, it's trending upward with him. It's never going to be a better time to trade him than now, when we can draft his replacement right away, start anew with Caleb Williams on a rookie deal, and then trade him off to somebody who's not going to get one of those guys. So you'll see Justin Fields traded probably after the first round ends on that Thursday night. Like, I would say once the first round's over, or after Michael Penix is taken. Like, once whatever comes first. Michael Penix is taken, first round ends, because he's the one who's kind of a tweener. Once Michael Penix is off the board, that's the top 5 quarterbacks or 6. So top 6 quarterbacks, then he's going to get dealt. Because then you start to get into the, like, Jordan Travis area of, like, he needs to be in the 3rd round or so. Sam Hartman's and guys like that. Talia Tagovailoa's. So, all right. Who are quarterbacks 2 and 3 to you?
I'm going Drake May 2. I would probably take Penix at 3, even though I think...
Really?
Yeah.
Over Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, I'd go Penix over Daniels, but I think they're right there next to each other.
Yeah.
I think it's just a personal preference type thing.
And here's the deal with Penix. Penix would be in this conversation for the second quarterback if he had not had 4 season-ending injuries.
Yep.
Yeah.
If he had not had 4 season-ending injuries, we're probably just talking, not even in no uncertain terms, we're talking Williams, Penix May, Daniels like right there in the clump, as opposed to where you have to make a compelling argument like, well, he is the most accurate passer of all of these guys. I mean, like, there's no doubt about that. Okay.
Do you have a question about J.J. McCarthy in here?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll hold my thought then.
What's the deal with J.J. McCarthy? That'll be my question. No, I was going to add, I see people rating him a first-round quarterback.
I just saw that people are in love with him.
Yeah.
Like somebody had a report yesterday, an NFC team told them he was their number 2 guy at QB.
Yeah.
And now I don't know which NFC team. Are they even in a position to draft a quarterback? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it was good draft fodder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you get that?
Not really. I mean, he looks like a prototypical pocket passer at times, but
he's got moxie.
He's got a lot of the intangible things you want. But that Michigan team was absolutely stacked. I mean, I just don't feel like he did a good job of doing what he was asked to do. I don't think he, was asked to do a lot there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. The Dallas Cowboys pick at 24. They have a glaring need at linebacker. And there's some pretty good linebackers in this draft. Jeremiah Trotter, Edgerrin Cooper, maybe guys you're not going to get in the first round. Maybe that would. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out after it. Peyton Wilson from North Carolina State's a guy I think you can get in the second or third round. That is a monster. Just absolute tackling machine. Pretty fair comp to Leighton Vander Esch, I would say. Do you go, because you're going for it, right? The Cowboys are going for it.
Full throttle.
That's what they say, full throttle going for it.
Going for broke.
Because you're going for it, do you draft the best player in your area of most need, or do you draft the best player? So if they don't necessarily need a wide receiver.
Sure.
But say at 24, there's a reasonable shot that someone like Keon Coleman could be there, or Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, all those guys could probably be there at 24. Ladd McConkey, all will be available, I would say, around that place. Maybe Coleman could be a little earlier, but 24, 25 is about the floor at where I see him going, is where if you're a wide receiver needy team who has a pick after that, you might trade up to get Keon Coleman because he's very unique in his skill set. So, or do you take a wide receiver or somebody like that? Or do you need a new offensive, you probably need a new offensive lineman because we don't know about Tyron Smith. What do you do?
I don't think you can pigeonhole yourself into a linebacker at 24. I feel like you take the best player available. I mean, as silly as it sounds, because the Cowboys, I mean, the loss of the Packers just broke me so much, Paul. It was just like, I know how it's gone, and it's gone this way for years, but I really thought they had turned some sort of corner.
They finally had some advantages in this thing.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They had home field advantage. They had a good matchup, seemingly what looked like a good matchup on paper at least. I guess the reason I'm thinking best player available, I'm not pulling up all the draft guys in my head, but most recently, CeeDee Lamb wasn't a need, but he fell to them there. They got him. Mm-hmm. The year they drafted Micah Parsons, everybody thought, oh, they're going to go corner. That was the hot topic all season long. We got to get a corner. And they ended up going with him. And both those guys turned out to be great. Now, I think with Parsons, they really lucked out because they thought he was a middle linebacker. Yeah. And he turned into one of the best edge rushers.
Well, he's just whatever he's going to, whatever you're going to do with him, if you have the right defensive coordinator, he's going to wreck shop.
Yeah. He's been great. CeeDee's been great.
He's a I know it's a different position, but he's a Troy Polamalu game changer in that you can just line him up in a spot and tell him to do something and he changes that. They lucked into that. Much like the Steelers with Polamalu. Mm-hmm. He was the perfect Steelers player for as long as he was. Micah Parsons is the perfect Cowboys player. He's what they have not had other than maybe DeMarcus Ware since the 90s.
So I think you take best player. What do you think of Mike Zimmer, that hire?
Bores me. But I know that Mike McCarthy is not in a position where he can go out and be like, this young, I'm going to hire Ejiro Evero from Carolina.
Mind. Yeah.
He's not in that spot. He's on his, again, Mike Zimmer knows the rules. He gets it. So you're going to have more veteran presences in your room.
Right.
But they have, they've lost Aiden Durde going as the defensive coordinator to Seattle. That's a really bright young coach that I hate that they lost. I wanted it to be him. But, and again, Jerry has yet to, and maybe one day it'll come, pick up the phone and say, hey, Paul, what do you think about the coaching staff? What should we do?
I think that's coming.
Look,
maybe if you would have been in New York for draft,
I know.
that one night.
I was there for draft night. I got to go to the next.
Okay.
I got to go the next day.
You just missed that first day.
After, you know what's even more beautiful than Aaron Andrews? This 2012 Hyundai Santa Fe that you can have off the lot for well below SRP.
No APR financing.
No APR financing. You can come to it. Listen, they've already seen somebody test drive this son of a gun today. They were thrilled. You better come in and get it before it's gone.
You're great at that. I see why they wanted you there.
Yeah. I'm very well accomplished. You know what's not as exciting as the first pick of the NFL draft, but close. The ride you'll feel in this all new. So, yeah, I went through them all. Okay. Last question. Are the 49ers in a position where they can run it back, or do they need to start thinking about building for maybe a slight rebuild in a couple years?
I think they can run it back.
Okay.
Why the heck did they fire Steve Wilkes? It makes no sense.
I think
to me.
somebody had to be a scapegoat for that. That's why
that was it. It was just, we got to get rid of somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that aspect of it, but they held the Chiefs to 19 points in regulation.
Yeah.
I mean,
your one of your best defensive players tore his Achilles running on the field.
Yeah.
Like, a freak thing happened.
I guess Kyle can't fire himself, so he was kind of limited in what he could do.
Well, also wasn't Steve Wilkes who didn't explain the overtime rules.
That's true.
By the way, have you guys seen the video of Patrick Mahomes when they wanted the ball first? Mm-hmm. Like his looks up and he's like,
really? Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see that one.
He had his head down because he was like, crap. Like, that was, he thought, like, they won the toss. We want the ball. And he's like,
right.
Oh, good plan, guys. I'm sure he, ran over to Andy Reid, they took the ball. Don't say it too loud. I think they can maybe still change their mind.
Iowa State fans, turn off your browser tab. I think Brock Purdy did a good job in that game.
Yeah.
I think he's a decent quarterback. I don't know why Kyle Shanahan doesn't just go for broke for a great elite QB when he has all these playmakers.
Well, he tried to with Tom Brady, yeah.
And that mess. And they missed with Trey Lance. I get all that.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of confused by that.
Well, look, to me, that's the difference at the end of that game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the difference at the end.
You knew once
everything
Pat
else
got
is
the
pretty
ball,
equal.
You knew once Pat got the ball,
they were going to the end zone.
They were going to win the game.
Yeah. And with Purdy, you knew that, they're going to have a nice, efficient drive here. Mm-hmm. But unless the scenario is perfect when it comes to scoring a touchdown, they're probably not going to score a touchdown. That's how I felt. I turned to Amanda and said that exact thing. It was like, the Chiefs just won the game. She's like, hey, you don't know that? I'm like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. The sky is blue. Clouds are white. Patrick Mahomes is getting the ball last.
I've seen this movie before.
I've seen it. I'm not this is a sequel that's getting kind of boring. Yes, it's the same thing again and again and again. At this point, we're at Hangover 3, and I'm not enjoying it anymore. But.
Apparently, the only team that can keep him from winning titles are the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Sorry, Red Raider fans.
Yeah. Cliff Kingsbury is going to sit there going, golly, I mean, just one defensive coach that was better than the guy I had. People may be there might be a statue of me in Lubbock right now.
If we just could have held people to 40 a game.
I mean, wow. I'm sure he had that feeling after every loss. Where
he has to, yeah.
He'd go in and be like, man. All right, let's break down what went wrong on offense. Literally nothing. Literally nothing. Football Superman is on our team. The whole rest of the squad is just Jimmy Olsen's. That's all we got. All right, Stephen, great to see you again. Missed you for the last couple weeks. We'll see you again next Wednesday. Hopefully your roof doesn't cave in or anything like that. So.
Hopefully not. Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good. Thanks to Garrett. Later on the show, we got Adam Rittenberg today.
Nice.
He talked to Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. Pretty interesting comments from Tony Petitti about how he's kind of building the season like a, like the way he sees it is like, we want the best TV games in November. We want playoff caliber games to be there like the NFL does it. We also have Robert Woods, who covers not Bobby Trees. He covers UCLA. We'll have Mickey Spagnola, Craig's Off the Radar, My Top 5, plus tons of riveting discussion about topics all around the sports globe. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports. See you in an hour.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown.